Welcome back, guys. I got sent this awesome Darth Nihilus mask from Marvin over at Infinity 3D Prints. You can find that in the description and comments below. And I just wanted to show you the finished product here, what it looks like, and as well take you along for painting it, because I thought it was pretty fun and you might learn something cool and be inspired to do your own mask. Now, this is a 3D printed mask, and you could definitely, if you look hard enough, look for the 3D printedness in imperfections. If I was to do this again, I would actually give it another layer of gloss. It has a couple dozen layers of just some really cheap gloss Krylon here. It's both the primer and spray paint. Nothing special. You could definitely get a much fancier paint, and I wasn't 100% trying to make everything perfect. I did not want the mask to look 100% new, so there still might be some aging that I do later down the line, but I'm fairly happy with how the gloss turned out, and I think it looks really good. So just be patient when you spray it on. I stood some feet away. Now we're putting on some folk art, just some inexpensive paint. This is the apple red. And don't be worried about any type of accuracy when you first start painting on things like this. Just focus on getting a layer or two of paint on there. Don't worry about brush marks. Later down the line, I do recommend that you do brush in bigger strokes. But for now, we're just going to brush on that nice apple red. I'm also using folk art brushes, if you're wondering what kind of brushes those are. And that's just a simple tile that I have. I paint some other miniatures and stuff like that from time to time. A little artistic. And I like having the tile. It looks cool. And it's like a history of your paints on there. So we're just going to focus on getting on that paint. Don't worry about getting on the edges of the white or going over the lines. We're going to correct that at the end. So again, don't worry about the lines. So that looks pretty good for a first draft. Now we're going to start putting on some maple syrup. Nice rich maple syrup. Again, we're not going to worry about the brush strokes at all. We're just going to get it painted on there. And then on the second draft, we'll start getting better coverage. And this is going to provide a nice deep layer for painting some nice Sahara gold on top of it. Darth Nihilus has what looks to be kind of a golden color on this metal piece here, and I just wanted it to have kind of almost a rusty base almost. A lot of people maybe can choose a browner base, a darker base, a blacker base. I've seen a lot of people use silver, but I chose to go with brown. Yeah, maple syrup that you have here. And so we're just going to try to get that covered on the best we can. Not worrying about being 100%. Now there's also a lot of varieties of paints that you can use. You don't have to use folk art. There's a lot of paint that Amazon sells. Reaper paints, more expensive paints. Citadel, you can use miniature paints. Walmart has actually a really nice assortment of inexpensive paint. Now we're just going to do one final coating of the red. You can see around the edges of the red that it's not perfect. It's going onto the mask. Don't worry about that. We'll fix that later. Actually, you've seen what it looks like, so if you want to see the end result, go back to the beginning of the video and you'll see that I've fixed all that up to the best that I could. I probably could have spent a little bit more time on it and made everything perfect, but it makes me very happy, and I'm going to be using it mostly in photography. I want to do some amateur cosplay stuff, so about 5 feet away is where you're going to see it. It's also a challenge making this guy look right because of the black face, so I still need to figure out how I'm going to black out my face. This also fits very well on my kind of medium large size head. Now on the second coating, just make sure you're getting kind of long strokes. See, yeah, we like those long strokes like that. The character himself, though, there's not a lot of official art, and what's out there does show that his face mask is a little glossy, but at the same time some of the art makes it look like it's bone. So maybe later down the line I may make that look more like bone. Also, the red parts of his mask look a little faded. A lot of people made that glossy. I decided to make a nice combination of matte for the red and glossy for the mask itself. So that's basically finished there. You can see we got the coverage of the brown on there, and we're ready to start doing the fun part, putting on that nice Sahara gold. And this doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to put that maple syrup on there 100%. Just get a nice base of it. And there we go. There she is, Sahara gold. This is the fun part. We're going to do what's called dry brushing, or it's something like dry brushing for the experts out there watching. Oh, it's eager to come out. We're going to get the brush, and a traditional dry brush, you would have a brush that's very mashed up. You don't want a fine point on it whatsoever. You don't want a lot of paint on the brush either, so you're going to take the paint and just mix it up in there. And then you're just going to lightly crisscross over it. You want to stay out of the creases. You want to stay out of the cracks. And you just want to brush over it and let the brush do the work for you. Don't paint inside the cracks at all. And that's going to give you kind of a really cool look like this. You see how we're starting to brush it on, and it's starting to look like aged metal. And you can use this for a variety of different things, different types of colors. Oh, let's get crazy. Let's get crazy. Look at this. I love it. This is my favorite part of painting, is dry brushing. And so imagine a different color base, a black base, and you're putting on silver and making it look more chrome-like. A lot of the 3D printed lightsabers and stuff, if you look close enough, you'll see that they're using the same technique. It's just very easy to make it look cool. It's very fun to do. It's rewarding. It's my favorite part of it. You can hear my smile as I'm talking about doing this. And it's personal preference how much you want to put on there. There is a sense of overdoing it sometimes. I don't feel that I've overdone it on this one. But just make sure you don't go in the cracks. You'll see another good example of not going in the cracks over here. But to me that looks like real metal. I like that. Looks like aged and worn metal. You just keep applying a nice layer. See how we're going across that line right there? Just making a nice defined point. Like the gold is fading off of it. Like it was plated gold maybe, not solid. Now don't worry about making a mess. We're gonna, any mess you can make, you're gonna go over at the very end. Clean that up. See where I'm showing you there? That's where you want to make sure you don't do. You want to go crossing like that. This is another good example. If I was to go the opposite direction of where I'm going now, you would lose that nice effect. You see how there's kind of like little balls at the end of that design? Well, if you go across, you lose the effect. I think you get my point. Try not to go too crazy, because that does limit how much work you're going to have to do in the end. Now here's a great example of it. Here's why you're going across, not up and down. If you went up and down, you'd get in that crevice and you'd ruin the effect. So lots of cool things you can do if you're inspired by this and want to do more painting. And you can get things like bears or skeletons, any type of creature that's got lots of fur. Really fun to dry brush on. You put on like a base of dark brown, and then you dry brush on the light brown, and then you'll notice, oh my gosh, the bear's hairs are all of a sudden really cool, and it just looks really cool. So enough ranting about dry brushing. It's very fun. Really like how this turned out though. We're almost done here. The whole process probably took, I don't know, a couple hours maybe, if that. And that's including spraying it. The spraying it was very time consuming. I had to keep coming back to it. So if you want to get this done in a weekend or something like that, you're really going to have to be persistent and let it dry. Don't be aggressive when you're putting on that base layer of white. Really let it set and dry up. Are there better options out there than the paint that I used? Definitely. Could I have sanded it down more that you see there in the eye? Yeah, I could have. but I also wanted to make the video out. Marvin sent me this mask and I wanted to show you guys how cool it was. And if you like this mask, please purchase a mask from Marvin there. He's sending me 2 more. I'm looking forward to painting those as well. Got a Darth Revan mask and another one that I'm looking forward to turning into like a KOTOR looking mask. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you do, please go ahead and leave me a like, leave me a comment, check out Marvin's page there on his Etsy page, check out some of these videos you see here, and subscribe. Yay! Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.